Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to Chronicles of a Crafter. So today we're working on our tag a week challenge. I have today my envelope tag that I'm going to be making. Just want to show you guys how I made my envelope tag. I had to make it from scratch because it didn't exist. Here are the prompts for the tag a week challenge. I went ahead and crossed off envelope. This is our 4th week in this challenge, and this week we're doing the envelope for the category. And for material, I'm just using some pretty paper. I think I pretty much used up a lot of the existing material. We've done newspaper, book paper, we've stamped on it, we've done stencils, rub-on transfers, you name it, we've pretty much done it. So I'm just going to be using a paper pack with some pretty paper in it, and these are just 3 separate sheets of paper from 3 different paper companies. Okay, so this one right here is from a pack called Sweet Day. So is this one from Sweet Day, and this one right here is from Bow Bunny, and this is their Sage and Willow paper. So it's just a regular sheet from Joann's that I just pulled out of their paper collection. Whoops. That did not happen anywhere near here. So anyway, yeah, so yeah, this one is just a 50-cent piece of cardstock. These are also cardstock weight, but they're a little bit lighter than the Bow Bunny paper, but we're going to use it anyway. It might actually work out better if you have lighter cardstock. There's a lot of folds and a lot of glue that needs to go into this process. I'll show you guys first my prototype. So here's my little prototype envelope. It will get a tab glued on to the side right here to make the spine, but this is what my envelope looks like, and I will open it up and show you guys exactly how awkwardly shaped it is when it's open, but when it's closed it totally looks like a tag and an envelope, right? So yep, that's what it looks like on the inside, and this is how we're closing it up with a little string closure. Okay, so I'll give you guys the measurements on how I came up with this, and maybe you guys can make one for yourself. I'm going to bring in my scoreboard, and you can use just 8.5 by 11 paper. This was a 12 by 12 sheet that I cut down to, I want to say right now it's probably 9 by 11. It's about 8 3/4 by 11. All right, we will do some more cuts to it once we get our score marks in. Here is my prototype, and it has all of the measurements on here that we're gonna need in order to make this. So I'm bringing my large scoreboard, and we're just going to start with just one sheet at a time. So I'm going to use this double-sided Bow Bunny paper. Doesn't really matter which side is on the inside or the outside. At least it doesn't for me. These others are single-sided pages, so again, it really doesn't matter. So here, I'll just place my prototype here on my scoreboard, and here are the score marks that we're going to be making. The first one that you're going to make is at 3 inches. So right there. Here, I'll move that out of the way. Okay, the next one that you're going to make is at 8 inches, and the last one is at 10.5. Okay, then you're going to rotate your paper a 1/4 turn. This is now your bottom side of the envelope, and this will be the top side of the envelope. We're going to score here at 3/4 of an inch, and then you're going to score up here at 7 5/8 of an inch. Whoops, 7 5/8. Okay, and now we're going to do some cutting. So the first part that you want to cut off right away, I can see from my prototype, I'm going to cut away this bottom section right here from the left side of the front of the envelope and from this right side of the back of the envelope. So let's do that. And you're just going to cut directly on that score mark. And if you want, you can remove the rivet that the scoreboard makes, that little valley. Okay, so there's that piece, and down here we're going to remove the entire section down here. Okay, and up at the top. So for the top section, we are going to remove those same two sections, which is right up here and right up here, up to that first score mark. So it's the 7 5/8 score mark that we made. We're going to remove this area right here. Okay, and this area right here. I know I don't even know if it's starting to look like an envelope yet, but it will very shortly. It definitely doesn't look like a tag, right? So so let's do some folds, and I will help that tag shape come into play, as well as the envelope shape actually. We're going to fold over our very first score mark at 3. And we're going to fold over our other score mark at 8. And this is where that 10.5 inch score mark that we made over here is also going to get folded over. And you can bone fold everything down, like for really tight creases. It helps. It really does actually help. And this is where these two are going to meet, right here in the middle. Then we're going to fold up our bottom section of that envelope and fold down the top section of the envelope. Okay, so naturally this would become an envelope. You just glue it all together and put your little tie string on there and it'll be fine. But of course our lives are way more difficult because we have to turn it into a tag as well. So here's my tag for the tag challenge. I am going to put some marks on here just based on my prototype. It does all add up. It's even on top and bottom and left and right. So now we have a 5 by 7 inch envelope that we have to turn into a tag. I'm just going to put a pen mark on either side. So right here and here, here and there, and then we'll just cut it. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That is not something that you want to hear when you are starting a project, right? Hopefully it works out. Fingers crossed. So I'm just going to line it up a little bit better because I need to remove the entire flap. So I'm just going to draw a line here and draw a line here. So all I'm really doing is taking it to the edge of the envelope flap section. So also what you can do is just grab one of your other tags from a previous week's project, just to make sure that our marks are on the same angle. And it doesn't really appear to be, so I'm glad I did not cut that yet. I'm going to use the previous week's tag and just get those marks straight and even. Okay, so now I will cut this, although I don't know which marks I'm following. Here, I'm just going to cut it right here and cut this one right here. Okay, so now we have this. This is what our prototype looks like. This is the shape of a tag. So this is also what our tag looks like from a previous week, right? And yeah, everything's nice and even. So You can round corners if you like. I did a pretty edge on the bottom. So here, I'll just show you what I did on this one. If it'll fit in here, probably won't. Yes, it will. There we go. There's that one. And there. So there's my pretty little scalloped edge at the bottom there. And if you don't like one side of the paper, you can always just flip it over, make this your inside, which I actually like this green side better for the outside. Yeah, and then there's that. Everything still folds up the same way. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut down our other pieces the same way. Same score marks, 3 and 8 on the horizontal. Oh, 3, 8, and 10.5. Don't forget your 10.5. And then you rotate it 1/4 turn, 3/4, and 7 5/8. I'm going to do that to these, and I'll be back in 2 ticks. Alright guys, so I went ahead and cut all of my tags out with that same pretty paper, and this is what I have. Okay, so now will be the time to ink. If you guys want to ink your edges, that's what I did prior to putting on our attachments for the string closure. Okay, so I inked all around my edges, and all I really want to do now is just find that center mark where my string closure is going to go on each of these. So I went ahead and cut out some circles from the same paper, and I probably have about maybe too many here. This is about, oh, let's say about 12 of these large ones, and by large I mean like a 1-inch circle punch, right? That's all I used to make these, is my little 1-inch circle punch. And then to make these smaller ones, this is a 3/4 inch circle punch. And then I just found the center with a little, put a mark on it, and then, you know, punched a little hole through it with my Crocodile 2, which just so happens to be sitting here on my desk. You can use your smaller Crocodile if you have one. You can even use an awl. If you find that center mark, just punch through it with an awl, which is also right here on my desk. So this is an awl, right? And then all we're going to do at this point would be to glue down our circles onto the page. So let's say I want to do this one here. And on this one, let's do a blue. And then on this blue, we can do a pink, right? So I would grab 2 of these of each color. And that'll be for the front and the back, right? And then we'll do 2 more on the bottom section. So if we're doing green on this one, then we should do green down here, pink on here, and then blues on there, right? So then the little ones will also go on here. We'll do that. And yeah, let's just start gluing these down onto the page. So I'm using I'm using a brad. I have 2 different size brads. Probably mix and match. I like the larger one, so we'll just see. We'll play around with it and see which ones we use. So to begin, we're going to find our center again, top and bottom, right? And it may or may not be on that line, so you just have to be aware of where you're punching your holes. And I'm just going to use a pen to mark it. So this will be my punch mark at the top. This will be it at the bottom. And you want to do this before you glue the whole thing together, right? Because once you do, you're in trouble. And then there's one more thing I want to show you guys prior to gluing it all together. We want to cut the center of our tag the envelope, I should say, so that it's so that it looks like an envelope. Well, one, it's hard to get anything into this, right? Even though it's wide, it's cut wide on the sides. You still want to make it a little bit easier to get things past the flap. So I would just cut a little triangle on both sides right here. So let me just go ahead and do that on this one and show you what I mean. I'm just going to grab any ruler. And from that point down, I'll make a mark. So from here to this corner is where we're going to cut, and we'll do the same thing for the opposite side from here to this point to there. So I'll show you what that looks like right now. So that'll be cut there, and that'll be cut there, and then you can now see that this makes it a little bit easier to get things down inside of there. Okay, so I'll do that to all of them without mixing up which one gets which button closure. If you want them all to be even, you can, once you do the first one, take a measurement and see. So they are all approximately 2 inches apart. This one's a little less than 2 inches, so I can take that mark and move it down to there. And this one is also almost 2 inches apart, give or take a fraction of an inch. All right, so with this, I'm just going to use my large crocodile, and I'm using the 1/8 setting, which is this front setting right here. It's probably hard to see, but it's that 1/8 setting on the crocodile, and I'm just going to punch myself a little hole directly on that mark that I made. Same thing for this one. Just going to punch and punch on here as well. Okay, so all of those have been punched for the same setup. Just gonna move my crocodile out of the way. So let's glue these down. I am loving my glue stand. I don't know about you guys, but I hope y'all gave that project a try. It is so convenient. What I'm gonna do is take let's take this blue one and glue it onto this green one. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue right there, find the hole that we made, put that on there. Then I'm gonna take my little brad, pop it through, and put one of these little small circles onto the inside where the brad is, just as reinforcement. I'm going to open up the brad. I hope I'm in frame. Open up the brad and then grab one of these other large blue ones and cover up that brad. Whoops. Yeah, my glue is always ready to go. Seeing that I'm using the stand, it's just so perfect. It's so perfect, guys. It's always ready to go. Okay, so that's that. And let's get some string. And I'm just going to pass some string underneath here just to lift that brad a little bit. That's all we need, is just a little lift on there so that it doesn't get glued in place on the underneath side. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to place a little bit of glue on the front side. And there's many different ways that you can do this. Everyone probably does it a little different. But you know, it's totally up to you. It's total preference. Yep, I'm gonna use the big one here. Open this up. I'm gonna spread these little arms right here on the brad. And then give it just a little bit of a lift, and then glue down the other one on top of it. And you're putting these on the back side of the brad so that it doesn't, so that when you stick things into the envelope, it doesn't get caught, right? You don't want anything getting caught on that brad. You really didn't even need the hole in these that are going on the inside, but so be it. There they are. Okay, so there's that. Let's go ahead and glue this one up. And this will go like this, and put a bead of glue right here. Okay. Fold that over, and then put a little bead of glue right down here, and fold that up. And I actually think that I folded my, yeah, I did. It's okay. The other ones will be different. I actually wanted my little 10.5-inch score mark to be on the outside, so that's something that you're gonna have to consider. How are you going to get this to go on here? I'm going to have to I'll see. I'll play with that and see how to do that in just a moment. But this one right here is complete. I'm just gonna grab its little matching spine right here and place it on the back side of the tag. Just want to make sure that it's even. So let's just cut away a little smidgen right there and put a little bit of glue on it. And I think before I use glue stick, but you can use whatever you have glue wise. I don't think that it's going to go anywhere once we glue it down. I'm going to hold it for a second and then clip it down into place with my little clips. And then we'll tie a string around it. I only have brown string on my desk right now, but I think I want to find something prettier than brown. So maybe I will use like a yellow string or something like that. I do have some wax cord. So again, what I was saying was this right here, I wanted my inked edge to be on the outside. So what I'm gonna have to do is glue this on one side only, and then once I close it up, I'll glue the other side of this, okay? So let's go ahead and pop another brad in. I have this bronze brad, and I believe the pink is going onto the blue. So I'll glue down one side of it, and then once we fold it up, then I'll glue down the other side. Split that through there. We'll open up the legs. We'll get another pink, place it on top of it. I don't know, do you guys call your brad the little split on their legs or arms? I think I've heard it both ways. I've heard it called arms, I've heard it called legs. So yeah. Alright, so now what I want to do is get some glue on here, just on the edge, and then I'm going to lift this side of my little circle and then put this folded edge right underneath there. Oh, I forgot to cut the pocket. Why didn't somebody tell me? Alright, I'm just going to cut this down right here. And then up this way. Okay. No harm, no foul. Everything is still intact. Okay. put that down, glue this bottom section, flip that up, and then do the same for my top brad. Put a little bit of glue on the back side, slip the brad through it. Oops, almost forgot to put one on the front side. Alright, so yeah, I want this one for the inside and this one for the outside. So yeah, do you guys call these arms or do you call them legs? I guess it's personal preference, you know. I forgot to put on my little guy. So this is like where all the little minutiae come in, the little tedious parts of making these envelopes. You can spend all day planning on how to do it, or you can just get in there and do it. And I think that's where I'm at. I was at the point where, like, what am I gonna do about this envelope tag? It took me a little while to design it, and then I made a couple prototypes simply because, like, you know, you just don't want to get it wrong or bring you guys something that doesn't work. So yeah, it just took me a little while to perfect it and make sure that everything works on it. And you see, sometimes you still don't get it right. I wanted the seam on the outside, and I didn't do that on this side, only because I didn't ink this other edge. Had I done that, it wouldn't have been much of a difference. You wouldn't have been able to tell, but it's all good. I'm going to put this blue one on here, and let's see, yeah, okay, this will go on here. I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on here. Come on out. Okay. And I find like I use my Fabrifix now a lot more because it's readily available when it doesn't want to play, or it's not ready to be squeezed out of the jar. It just, you know, out of the bottle. It's just not encouraging. Like, I don't want to spend time shaking up my bottle of glue trying to get it to come out and play. So yeah, it's just, I use it a lot more now because it's ready. It's ready to go. Okay, so there's our other one. Let's do our pink one really quickly, and we're using green on it. Yep. So again, I want my flap on the outside, so I'm going to glue down half of this right there. I'm going to glue down just the edge here. I'm then going to, oh, I ran out of brads. Maybe I have a different color brad. Let's see what brads I have in here. Ooh, there's some multicolors. Oh, the same bronze, the same gunmetal, or this really large bright gold. Yeah, let's try that. So with these, they're really long. They have very long legs on there. What I normally do is just cut them, right? And because we're putting a protective piece on the back side of our paper, the cut brad will never really bother anybody or anything. The only problem is finding the right tool to cut it. So where is my jewelry snips? Let me go grab my jewelry tool and I'll be back in 2 ticks. Okay, so these are some jewelry wire cutters. I just make them as short as I want because I really don't need all of this length right here, and it's just a matter of squeezing and then rocking it back and forth to get those little prongs to snap off. And now I have 2 normal size brads, They're a little bit wider than the other ones because these are more like for paper. They're paper fasteners, I believe is what they're called. So if you're ever looking for brads and you don't find it under the name brad, they're just called paper fasteners. And again, these are just a little bit wider than the ones that I've been using, so I just have to carefully cut them down on an angle as well. So I'm just going to place that one right there and spread those little wings on there. See, now I'm calling them wings. At first they were arms, then they became legs, and now they're wings. So I guess I've heard it called in all different names. You can call it whatever you're comfortable calling it, but they're wings, arms, legs, what have you. But they're known as brads or paper fasteners. So yep, I already placed my glue along this edge, which has been drying. So I'm going to add a little bit more glue right here and pull back my unglued section right there. Flip this side down, and again, I forgot to cut my top pocket. So I will do it right now. And it's just one cut that way and then one cut this way. Okay, so if you want to ink that section, it's easy to access. You can just hold back your page, grab your dauber, and ink right in here. Okay, and everything's perfectly fine. Just gonna even this up a little. There we go. As long as it's even, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's even and you didn't glue your pocket shut, so you know, you're good. I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue down here at the bottom, seal up this envelope, add my brad to the front flap. Let's see, first one of these. Whoops. See, I almost glued the wrong side. Let's grab this one. First one of these. And then my brad. So yeah, I just have to cut off the edges so that it fits back into the same hole that you made before, because they come pointed, right? They have a little point on it, but once you've cut it, you lose the point and it may rip your page, so you have to carefully just cut it back onto a little angle. I'll turn this around and then spread the wings, not before putting on my little backer. And this is just for reinforcement, guys. Like, you don't want to rip the holes that you've made. That's why you're putting on these little guys, these little circle punches. It's just like you would on like loose leaf paper back in the day when you were in school. We used little pieces of, I guess they're like double-sided tape or something, reinforcements. We are memory keepers. Make a punch that will create a reinforcement for you, but the reinforcements, they just look like this, right? Remember these? They came with a pack of loose leaf paper. That's all we're doing, is just creating our own reinforcement for these little brads on the back of our envelopes to make this closure, because we're going to be putting some string through it, and the string it does have a tendency of tugging and pulling on your project. So that's all we're doing, is just creating resistance. Yep, that's it. Okay, so there we have that, right? So that's that. There's that one. I'm happy with those. I will add my little spine onto this. It'll go right there. Let's see. Yeah, that's cute as a button. Let's do that for sure. All right, put that on here. And all I did really was cut my spine. I cut the spines of these tags on a little angle right here to reduce down the bulk, and it also tells me which one is the top and the bottom, right? So I know that this angled piece will go onto the tag, and the full sheet, the full section, will be the section that I place all those the rings through. So okay, glue that down, and let's see what else is missing. This one's been cut already. It's glued correctly. All right, yeah, so let me grab some, like a yellow maybe, or even black would be better than anything else. Black would be nice with the brown, with the paper, as well as this pretty yellow. And that's just waxed cord. If you don't have waxed cord, this is what some other types of cording. This is by Bead Landing. It's just jewelry cord. You can find it at Michael's in their jewelry section. Basically, I'm going to pull enough. Let's see, I'll pull enough to do all three. It's about 3 feet. And all I'm really going to do is just tie a knot on the top section here. So just knot this top section. The only problem with waxed is that it does get a little slippery, so it's hard to get it started. But once you do, it's good to go. And then tie it again, a knot. And try to get your knot to finish at the bottom, so that you can then just pull the cord down and wrap it around. Here we go, up and down, underneath your bottom brad and up to your top brad. And I'm just gonna cut it off right here. So I did it about 3 times. Let's see, 1, 2, yeah, about 3 loops around, and that's going there. And then I'll do the same thing for these other 2. And that's pretty much it, guys. We made it through another week of the weekly tag challenge. So yeah, I guess I'll leave you guys here while I finish this up. I hope you guys have a super crafty day. Like, thanks to each and every one of you for subscribing. I'm really happy with the channel, guys. I'm impressed. I'm like really I'm really happy with all of you guys who subscribed. I'm just, you know, eternally grateful. You know who started all of this would be, I'd have to say, Pam at The Paper Outpost. Her one video that she broadcast, you know, how I've inspired her to make her own journal paper. You know, that video is the one that really pushed it over the edge initially, and a lot of you subscribers came over from her channel. So thanks to all of you guys for subscribing. And then to like everyone else who just you know, find value in what we're doing here on this channel. Junk journaling is not everyone's cup of tea, but it's a thing, guys. And I don't only do junk journaling, I do lots of other crafts as well. So but you know, thanks to all of you for subscribing, hitting the bell for notifications, you know, sharing these videos with your friends and family. I do appreciate that, as well as like checking out the links that are down in the description box, because just one link, it's called Linktree. It's down in the description box. You click on it, it'll take you to all of my other links. So yeah, give that a try. I have my Amazon storefront, my Etsy shop, my email, Instagram, you name it. It's all on that one link at Chronicles of a Crafter. Alright guys, I'm gonna leave you here. Hope you guys have a super crafty day. Go do something wonderful, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Stay naturally curious. Bye.